Good Wednesday, everyone. I'm Cyrus Webb, and welcome to Conversation Daily News. Glad you all could be with us. Of course, you have your news headlines coming up on this hump day. Have a message from my book, Word That Choose to Live By. And in today's Entertainment Spotlight, you hear part of my conversation with author Jeffrey Marshall discussing his love of storytelling and new book Squeeze Plays. You don't want to miss that. Enjoy today's broadcast. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Wednesday headlines. In Mississippi news, changes on the way for PERS, but benefits not changing for current employees and retirees, says WLBT Channel 3. Lawmakers' decisions about the state's public employees retirement system, known as PERS, will impact you whether you're a public employee or not, says WLBT Channel 3. Retirees and local leaders say there'll still work to be done, but the actions are a step in the right direction and one that will ultimately save you in taxes. Your voices are being heard. The legislation that came out stirred a lot of interest among retirees, says Sam Valentine, Mississippi Retired Public Employees Association board member. Among people that are in the system, they got a lot of phone calls, and they realize, I think, now just how important the system is. The feedback was twofold. It came from not only from public employees and retirees, but also local government leaders who said they wouldn't be able to afford the scheduled increase employer contribution rate. We are thrilled that we're not going to have a 2% increase, says Hattiesburg Mayor Toby Barker. As of July 1st, we'll have a 0.5% increase. We have certainty for the next 5 years, and even certainty beyond that. If the PERS board wishes to raise the important contribution, they'll have to go to the legislation for approval. Maybe you're not part of PERS, however, these decisions have a domino effect on you, says WLBT. I think the thing that it helps cities do is maybe avoid those property tax increases, noted Barker. It also gives your cities and towns more flexibility since they won't have to keep paying more into the state system. If there are raises for first responders, if there are other requirements that need to do, they can do that, Barker said about the flexibility. There's also going to be not having to go out and discuss having to outsource a lot of your city functions. So we're moving in the right direction, Valentine stated, but there's a lot to be done if we're going to fully fund the benefits for not only current retirees, but future retirees for years to come. In more Mississippi news, Mississippi unveils new driver's license design, says 16WAPT. The Mississippi Department of Public Safety Driver's Service Bureau has announced a new Mississippi driver's license design. The new design showcases various iconic elements of Mississippi, including the new state flag, a guitar, the state outline, and music notes. This new design does a great job capturing the spirit of Mississippi, says Governor Tate Reeves. Commissioner Sean Tyndall of the Department of Public Safety says the new design was unveiled in May during the second annual Mississippi Public Safety Summit. The new design is expected to be available at all driver service locations statewide by July 1st of this year. Licenses with the old design will remain valid as long as they have not expired. In national news, Biden rolls out asylum restrictions months in the making to help gain control of the border. President Joe Biden on Tuesday unveiled plans to clamp immediate significant restrictions on migrants seeking asylum at the U.S.-Mexico border as the White House moved to neutralize immigration as a political liability ahead of the November elections. The long-anticipated presidential proclamation would bar migrants from being granted asylum when U.S. officials deem that the southern border is overwhelmed. The Democratic president had contemplated unilateral action for months after the collapse of a bipartisan border security deal in Congress that most Republican lawmakers rejected at the behest of the former President Donald Trump, the presumptive GOP presidential nominee. Biden said he preferred more lasting action via legislation, but Republicans had left me no choice. Instead, he said, he was acting on his own to gain control of the border, while also insisting that I believe immigration has always been the lifeblood of America. Trump told the Republicans that he didn't want to fix the issue, he wanted to use it to attack me, Biden said. It was a cynical, extremely cynical political move and a complete disservice to the American people who are looking for us not to weaponize the border, but to fix it. In international news, U.S. launches lobbying blitz to sell Gaza's ceasefire plan to Hamas through Arab and Muslim nations. The Biden administration has launched an intense drive to persuade Hamas and Israel to accept a new ceasefire proposal in the nearly 8-month-old war in Gaza, while it also presses Arab nations to get the militant group to go along with the terms. And finally, in business news, Wall Street cleaves between winners and losers on report showing slowing economy. U.S. stocks were split among winners and losers Tuesday as a report suggested the job market is cooling, the latest signal of a slowing economy that offers both upsides and downsides for Wall Street. The S&P 500 ticked up by 0.2%, though more stocks within the index fell than rose. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 140 points, or 0.4%, and the Nasdaq Composite added 0.2%. The action was stronger in the bond market, where Treasury yields slid after Tuesday morning's report showed U.S. employers were advertising fewer job openings at the end of April than economists expected. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's now time for a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By. Enjoy. Good Wednesday, everyone. I'm Cyrus Webb, and welcome to Words I Choose to Live By. Not everyone will win first place. Not everyone will get a pat on the back or see their name in lights, and that's okay. Being successful is not always about being recognized as the best. It's about bringing the best of yourself to everything you say and do in your life. So let's get to it. Have an amazing hump day. We are part of my conversation coming up with author Jeffrey Marshall in today's Entertainment Spotlight. Stay with us. You're listening to Conversation Daily News. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Entertainment Spotlight. Author Jeffrey Marshall rejoined me on Conversations Live, the radio show, to talk about his love of storytelling and newest book, Squeeze Plays. Here's a bit of our conversation.
Jeffrey, thank you again for stopping by the program. Really appreciate it.
Great to be with you, Cyrus. Thank you.
You know, that's the great thing about not only doing radio but also podcasting, Jeffrey. We can readily go back to our previous archives. And as you and I were just talking about, it's been 4 years now since you were on our broadcast. Talk to us about this experience. Squeeze Plays. I have my copy of the book here. It's a Book Excellence Award winner. What has it been like for you to see the way that people are responding to the new book?
Well, I'm very happy with the response, not only from individual readers on sites like Goodreads and Amazon, but professional reviewers, and I probably have, probably close to a dozen or more. Maybe not the biggest names in the world, but they're people who really love books and really appreciate the storytelling.
And that seems to be the big thing for you. You seem to just love telling stories. And with the book Squeeze Plays, as When Undetected, you've been able to give us a really solid read here, Jeffrey. And that is a story that has so many layers. We're going to kind of talk around some of those a little bit later so we don't spoil it for our audience, but definitely whet their appetite. So how did your love of storytelling start? When did you know that writing was something you were interested in?
Well, I think it goes all the way back to my childhood. Did an awful lot of reading, particularly in my teenage years, when I just fell in love with a lot of literature. And, a lot of the classics, probably in the 18th, 19th, and certainly the 20th century. And went through a lot of different types of authors and read much of their works. I guess I kind of gravitate more toward a lot of 20th century American writers at that point. But I really love the whole idea of creating pictures with words and developing characters and finding out, some of the things that motivate them and make them memorable.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning in to this edition of Conversation Daily News. I'll be back to get on tomorrow with more news, a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By, and of course, an Entertainment Spotlight. Until then, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversation Daily News today. Let us go make today amazing. Take care.